They cannot live without US patented technology stolen to China because the CCP cannot innovate. They have to steal their way, turning every Chinese college student into a spy and a thief. Today we're discussing 3 topics, but they all share one common theme, and that is narrative. First, we'll cover Dr. K's latest video involving a useful idiot, and then we'll also discuss a new bill targeting TikTok, as well as a former Google engineer who was arrested for stealing AI secrets for China. So first, we'll talk about the recent video Dr. K posted. Now, this is an American, or at least I think it's an American. He sounds pretty American. Speaks fluent Mandarin. He was seen singing the CCP national anthem next to Dr. K's piano playing. Now, he's holding a Chinese flag, the communist flag, and when asked if he is a supporter of the CCP, he says he's not.
I just remembered you, man.
CCP, yeah? We've got CCP models.
Yeah. Okay, so are you a CCP supporter though?
Not at all. Not at all.
Are you sure?
No, 100%. I have massive problems with the CCP and how the CCP is run.
Okay.
However, I don't like lies. Most of the things that are said about the CCP also aren't true. By the Falun Gong, by the Uyghur Congress.
And, he apparently has massive problems with the CCP as well. Now, this is actually quite typical of the excuses used by CCP lovers, right? As well as whataboutism, trying to play, what about the United States? Sort of this balanced and fair, but in reality is really just, it's part of the brainwashing. Now, this guy is making a fool of himself in the video. As Lewis from Free China's YouTube channel, he has an alternative angle for this, later shows nobody actually cares about his clown show. But like all CCP lovers, they have no shame. He stuck around the entire time they were playing the piano. Now, much like the original episode with Newton Lung and the gang of 6 CCP little pinks which confronted Dr. K, I'm actually glad that this time nobody touched the CCP flag. Otherwise, you'll never know what's going to happen next. Would he freak out? Of course, he goes on to direct all the problems to make the excuse that the United States is actually the aggressive one, all the while denying the claims of genocide happening in China by, of course, claims of the Uyghurs, as well as the persecution and organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners. Of course, both have been recognized by international organizations and global institutions as really it's going on in China. This man may not actually be paid by the CCP, but he is sure brainwashed. Maybe he watched and read too much Chinese state media. Now, we call them useful idiots, but it's the narrative in which they carry that's very troublesome. Not only are they denying active genocides happening in China, mass-scale persecutions against religious people in China. Again, all of this is backed by evidence through images, videos, personal accounts, and even data. For example, on organ transplants and persecution numbers. But they're also doing so to help shape the narrative around the evil regime in Beijing. How different is this to denying the Holocaust? The question is, who is this guy? Well, the last time he was seen on video was him in London again, verbally abusing a Falun Gong volunteer. In this video, he denies the forced organ harvesting and persecution by the CCP and claims that Falun Gong members want to topple the CCP, to which this Falun Gong practitioner, the woman says that her goal is to stop the persecution. Now, going back to Dr. K's video, the man claims that he doesn't like lies, which is of course ironic considering everything coming out of China today is pretty much a lie. And when he tries to actually give example of what the CCP has said is true, he turns the topic to talk about how evil the United States is. Now, let's just propose a scenario, right? Ask any non-brainwashed Chinese person today, including those living in China, which country would they rather live in? Now, they would tell you the United States. Think about this. Why would tens of thousands of Chinese people flee to the US southern border and not the other way around? Sure, the United States is so evil. We must have tens of thousands of Americans flying to China daily around the borders and asking to seek asylum, right, from the evil US imperialists. Oh, also those rich Chinese people buying houses in LA or Vancouver in Canada, they must be so scared of the imperialistic Western ideologies and values. Well, I mean, the truth is I don't see Americans flocking to China doing the same, do you? So does this man who dares to say that he thinks the CCP has problems, well, can he say the same thing, but in Beijing's train hall? Will he also face no consequences as he did in London? Can he hold an American flag in Beijing without being questioned by the police as to why he is portraying a foreign entity's flag in Beijing? Well, you certainly cannot do that in China, but you can do it in the United States and the UK. Something doesn't seem fair, isn't it? Somebody gets to enjoy the freedom of speech, but not in the country he's trying to protect. Something else stood out to me as well. So when he was asked by Lewis, the man who owns the YouTube channel called Free China, whether or not the CCP spreads propaganda, the man says this. Watch.
Do you support the CCP?
Against lies and propaganda? Absolutely. I support the truth.
Spreads their own propaganda.
Well, everyone spreads their own propaganda to an extent, but it doesn't have the same level of global reach, and it doesn't have the same level of I don't know. It's less of a concern. I'm not really concerned about CCT propaganda, to be honest.
I'm just not. Why are you? Honestly, when I heard these words, I couldn't do anything else except laugh a little bit, because these are actually words he said with a straight face. And he apparently didn't say it sarcastically. I'm stunned. The thing about narrative is that this person would be championed in Chinese state media, used as a symbol of resistance against so-called US imperialism. But he's really here just painting a legacy for himself, which is a bad one, to say the least. Before we continue, I just want to express my gratitude for your continuous support of this channel and the active participation that you offer, which really helps to encourage me to keep talking about the latest information and to provide analysis on China. Now, because I'm an independent YouTuber, my earnings come from YouTube ad revenue as well as some of the advertisements that I do on the channel. Now, if you want to support the cause, consider a donation because it helps to keep the voice free. I'm not supported by large organizations or the US government or the CIA, contrary to what many CCP bots say otherwise. Now, so if you want to support me, I'll leave the link in the description with the donation link. Also, another way is to support me with a YouTube super thanks. So your support and contribution would help to keep the truth about China alive and to continue to help contribute to the growth of this channel. All right, let's go back to the video. Now, speaking of narrative, TikTok is actually using 170 million Americans as hostage today, as it lies about this new bill proposed in Congress. Today, if you log on to TikTok, you're greeted by this message, which asked the users to give away their zip code to call the congressional member in their district, particularly those on the Energy Committee and the Select Committee on China, because allegedly Congress, according to TikTok, wants to ban the app. No, actually, it is not banning TikTok at all. It is de-shelving the app if it cannot find a suitable American buyer. In other words, there's a huge difference here. TikTok in its current form, controlled by a Chinese company, by the foreign adversary, the CCP, is not allowed to exist in the United States. But if it is sold to an American company, aka becoming an American company, then it can exist freely. So what is there not to love about that? America will be getting a tech company in TikTok, and the CCP is no longer controlling it. Now, so the question is, you would think that TikTok is all ears for it, right? But they're not. Fishy. TikTok, which of course the majority of the user base consists of children and young adults, they're actually giving out their location detail, collecting the other information as well. TikTok uses those information, which is then fueled into things like AI, big data. They're again using this to hold hostage of the people that use this app to say that if you want to use this app today, you're going to have to sign this, call your congressional member or whatnot. You have to give us your location detail. So they're saying that you want to continue to use this app today, help us stop this bill in Congress. So 170 million users are being held hostage. And then saying that if you dare to shut us down, we have 170 million Americans to fight against you. That's crazy. Think about the rationality of this, right? Why would anyone oppose selling the app to an American company if you're truly not suspicious about your data safety and otherwise? Why? Well, think about it. Wouldn't that actually make so much sense? TikTok can exist in a free space like TikTok, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, with no more accusations against it being a tool of the CCP. Why would TikTok not want that to happen? Instead, they want to fight off and survive on something called a Project Texas, which, by the way, does nothing to protect American data, as well as does nothing to control the TikTok algorithm, which actually is manipulating the public opinions, etc., in the app. So here's the answer. TikTok is never about the app itself. It's about the war waged by China against America and other countries. So the bill, right, would actually make TikTok, who is deliberately misrepresenting this, a part of the buying process if they were sold to an American company, then their app becomes safe and usable. So the bill, which TikTok is deliberately misrepresenting to the users on their app, is actually a bill that targets any foreign adversary-owned companies, including TikTok. Now, quote here says, shall be unlawful for an entity to distribute, maintain, or update within the land or maritime borders of the United States. That means if TikTok was actually sold to an American company, then it is fine. So the bill would give 180 days for TikTok before they will be unlisted from the US app stores like Apple or Google Play. And of course, passing this bill would take time. And if it does pass, I'm kind of skeptical about it, would provide a great sort of reference to what the president can do as well as Congress can do when it comes to dealing with apps that are controlled with foreign adversaries. It's sort of like a guideline, and I think a great one. But it is, already seeing TikTok going full force against it because we're seeing TikTok spreading misinformation about the bill. It's not banning TikTok if they are controlled or owned by an American company. Again, it's actually protecting those 170 million Americans who currently have their data and personal information stolen and analyzed by people in China. And that, again, is used to fuel the big data and AI research. And later on, that's going to come back to harm them. Because China weaponizes data, and it's done by a government-backed entity and program. They want to research AI and use data provided by apps like TikTok to fuel the learning process so that they can better target the very people that they stole from and basically wage a war of opinion, a war on narratives, and just a cognitive warfare against Americans. Right? So that's the narrative aspect. We're talking about that today. TikTok is more than just an app. It's psychological. It's a weapon. It targets the social narrative of the country that is allowed to exist in. Taiwan, for example, the latest presidential election was largely influenced by TikTok. It provides election interference through the spreading of pro-China narratives in Taiwan. And it became a cognitive war zone. So it's very dangerous. TikTok executives also serve the CCP in Beijing. Their top executive refuses to recognize genocide. TikTok's CEO is also reluctant to admit to what happened in Tiananmen Square in 1989. Now, this links to our third topic today, which is a former Google employee who was arrested yesterday. He stole confidential AI learning information from Google while secretly working for two Chinese companies, one of which he founded in the summer of 2023. And guess what those two companies in China does? Well, they do big data, they do AI research, and they take the stolen Google technology to try to call it their own. Now, in the company profile of him, he claims to have knowledge of building Google's 10,000 level computing power platform. And that apparently involves both hardware and software technologies that are used, and of course, they're trade secrets created by Google. Now, while he was pretending to work in the US Google office, he was physically in China attending investor meetings for his companies. In December of 2023, Ding allegedly permitted another Google employee to use his Google-issued access badge to scan into the entrance of a Google building, making it seem like he was actually working in the United States, while in fact he was in the PRC. So it's very possible that he was involved with something called a 1,000 Talents program, where the CCP gets in touch with people working in AI, medical, or other sorts of research, cutting-edge technologies, that they want to turn them into spies. Of course, by offering them lucrative incentives. Those approach for this, they're promised that they will get their own personal research lab in China or tech company startups with top investors joining their cause. So to anybody that actually has a dream of making it big in the technology world, or has access to a technology worth stealing, they make it very lucrative. It's likely that he was promised these things, a bright future after he returns to China following the stolen secrets, and he gets to become a CEO of his very own company, which is funded by the state-backed banks and money from the CCP. And so after he successfully steals these technology and these secrets from Google, well, that's enough for him to live a luxury life, enjoying what he does for the rest of his life without having to worry about, other repercussions. That is until he was caught. So it's ironic because Beijing claims that they're de-Americanizing, right? Getting rid of American technology in their systems, hardware, software, whatever. Yet they're lying all around. Again, they cannot live without US patented technology stolen to China because the CCP cannot innovate. They have to steal their way, turning every Chinese college student into a spy and a thief. The two companies, Zhisuan Technology and Rongxing Intelligence, they serve the CCP's AI weaponization and big data projects. all based on stolen technology from Google. And why would you need to steal trade secrets from another company if you can just innovate yourself, right? In AI or data technology freely. Clearly, you can't do that in China, and that's why they have to steal it. If the CCP was truly competitive, as they claim, you would not be hearing about stolen technology. So it's a big old lie. And the truth is that China fakes everything, and they don't have it, so they have to steal it. All right, that's it today for the episode on how narrative in 3 different news topics connect with each other. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. And also consider checking out the donation link, and your support, again, will be greatly appreciated. All right, until next time, bye-bye.